Welcome back to my channel. One family, 18 children, one impossible dream, a mountain fortress where everyone would live together, united forever. On paper, it sounded beautiful, almost mythical. We've all seen the throwback photos, the old clips. Michael T., Aspen, Garrison, Gabriel, and Gwendolyn running wild together, chaotic, loud, imperfect, but undeniably bonded. A single, unstoppable force of siblings. But fast forward to today, and that picture doesn't just fade, it shatters. Look closely at the recent family gathering photos. Really look. What you see now is separation, not unity. You see Robin, isolated inside her sprawling mansion, surrounded by expensive art and curated comfort, yet completely cut off from the rest of the family. You see Christine and Janelle's children forming their own tight-knit circles. Strong, loyal, protective, and most importantly, circles that no longer include their father. This isn't a phase. This isn't a misunderstanding. Over time, two distinct camps have formed, and what we're watching now is no longer a family disagreement. It's a Cold War. But here's the twist no one saw coming. For years, Kody Brown believed he was the only alpha male in the room. He believed power belonged to him because his name was on the deeds. He believed control came from ownership, from paperwork, from legal technicalities. In his mind, he held the keys to the kingdom. That belief is about to cost him everything. Because a new force has entered the chat, and this force doesn't argue in confessionals, doesn't send emotional text messages, and doesn't raise his voice in family meetings. This force moves quietly, strategically, methodically. We're talking about a man who understands leverage. We're talking about a theory that suggests a civil war is about to erupt over the most valuable asset the Brown family owns. And the general leading the opposition isn't one of the wives. It's David Woolley. And he isn't coming with drama. He's coming with a plan, one that could permanently split Coyote Pass in two. Before we break down the legal strategy that could bankrupt Kody and Robin and shift power back where it was always promised to the children, you need to join the crew. We go deeper into the sister wives saga than anyone else on YouTube. If you want to stay ahead of the narrative and hear the theories mainstream media won't touch, smash that like button right now. It helps push this truth to more viewers. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe and turn on notifications because you do not want to miss what happens next. Now, let's talk about the reality of the situation. To understand why this theory involving David Woolley and the Brown children is so explosive, we have to start with the land itself, Coyote Pass. This wasn't just property. It was supposed to be the legacy. Kody uprooted the entire family from Las Vegas, ripping them out of their cul-de-sac life for this land. It was sold as the future inheritance for all 18 children, a place where generations would gather. A symbol of permanence, of unity, of family. So what is it now? A barren wasteland of broken promises. A prairie dog-infested money pit. For years, we've watched Kody stumble through zoning issues, infrastructure failures, and financial roadblocks. We've watched him alienate his wives one by one, then his children, all while clinging desperately to this patch of dirt as if it alone could validate every decision he's ever made. But here's the part Kody seems to have forgotten. Land costs money, and buying that land required the financial sacrifice of every wife. Christine's money is in that soil. Janelle's retirement fund and the proceeds from her Las Vegas home are buried in that dirt. Mary's finances are tied up in it too. For years, the dominant narrative has been that Kody and Robin are simply waiting everyone out. That eventually, through legal maneuvering and quiet consolidation, Coyote Pass would end up solely in Robin's estate. And the fear among fans has always been the same. That Christine and Janelle's 13 children, the kids who grew up on camera, who sacrificed privacy, stability, and childhood for the show, would walk away with nothing, while Robin's children inherit a multi-million-dollar future. That isn't just unfair. It's explosive. And that's exactly why this next move could change everything. That it feels unjust. It feels wrong. And for the longest time, it felt inevitable. like the ending had already been written and the children were destined to lose no matter what they did. That Kody and Robin would outweight everyone, outmaneuver everyone, and quietly walk away with the entire legacy. But then, David Woolley entered the picture. When Christine first introduced David to the world, everyone focused on the love story. The glow-up, the smile we hadn't seen in years, the way he treated her like a queen, the way he was, in every visible sense, the complete opposite of Kody Brown. Fans saw romance, healing, a happy ending. What most people didn't see was the resume. Because David Woolley isn't just a nice guy with good energy. He's a businessman. He owns a construction company. He lives in the world of contracts, land development, zoning, logistics, and long-term planning. He understands assets. He understands risk. And more importantly, he understands how to protect an investment when someone else is trying to quietly steal it. While Kody plays checkers, making impulsive, emotional decisions driven by ego, loyalty tests, and control, David Woolley plays chess. And according to insider whispers and exclusive theories circulating in Flagstaff's inner circles, David hasn't been sitting quietly on the sidelines. He's been watching, studying, observing the Coyote Pass situation with a trained eye. He sees the injustice. He sees the financial manipulation. And allegedly, he spotted something Kody never accounted for. That it feels unjust. It feels wrong. And for the longest time, it felt inevitable, like the ending had already been written and the children were destined to lose no matter what they did. That Kody and Robin would outweight everyone, outmaneuver everyone, and quietly walk away with the entire legacy. But then, David Woolley entered the picture. When Christine first introduced David to the world, everyone focused on the love story. The glow-up, the smile we hadn't seen in years, the way he treated her like a queen, the way he was, in every visible sense, the complete opposite of Kody Brown. Fans saw romance, healing, a happy ending. What most people didn't see was the resume. Because David Woolley isn't just a nice guy with good energy. He's a businessman. He owns a construction company. He lives in the world of contracts, land development, zoning, logistics, and long-term planning. He understands assets. He understands risk. And more importantly, he understands how to protect an investment when someone else is trying to quietly steal it. While Kody plays checkers, making impulsive, emotional decisions driven by ego, loyalty tests, and control, David Woolley plays chess. And according to insider whispers and exclusive theories circulating in Flagstaff's inner circles, David hasn't been sitting quietly on the sidelines. He's been watching, studying, observing the Coyote Pass situation with a trained eye. He sees the injustice. He sees the financial manipulation. And allegedly, he spotted something Kody never accounted for. A massive, untapped source of power. The collective legal weight of the adult children. And that realization brings us to the heart of today's explosive theory, what we're calling the Brown Legacy Coalition. This theory suggests David Woolley has zero interest in screaming matches, explosive sit-downs, or staged confrontations for TLC cameras. He doesn't want a viral argument. He doesn't need to win a scene. That kind of chaos is beneath him. Instead, the theory proposes something far more dangerous for Kody. David is operating as a shadow strategist, quietly advising, organizing, and helping unite Christine and Janelle's adult children into a formal legal and financial alliance. Let's talk about the numbers because this is where it gets serious. We're not talking about 2 or 3 kids. We're talking about 13 adult children. Many of them are married. Many are homeowners. Many understand contracts, mortgages, and financial systems. They are articulate. They are media savvy. And they have platforms of their own. Individually, they may feel powerless. Individually, the idea of suing your own father over inheritance feels impossible, emotionally and psychologically. But together? Together, they are a force of nature. The alleged objective of this coalition is devastatingly simple: claim their birthright. The argument is straightforward and legally dangerous for Kody. A significant portion of the funds used to purchase Coyote Pass came directly from their mothers. We didn't hear about it. We watched it. Janelle cashed out her 401k. The proceeds from the Las Vegas homes were poured into the family pot. That money was not Kody's personal income. It was pooled family equity. And family equity creates legal entitlement. That means the children of those mothers are entitled to a substantial share of that land through inheritance. Or, at the very least, their mothers are entitled to reclaim their equity that can then be legally transferred to their children. According to the theory, David's advice is ruthless in its simplicity. Bypass the emotional drama, ignore the personal history, and go straight for the jugular. The finances. Now, you might be asking the obvious question. If this is so powerful, why hasn't it happened yet? Why haven't the kids already sued? And the answer is the same one it almost always is. Money. High-powered attorneys aren't cheap. Forensic accountants aren't cheap. Untangling years of family finances, TLC income, property titles, and interwife transfers requires resources. And until now, those resources were out of reach. But that may be about to change. Fighting a legal war over land takes one thing above all else: capital. And that's something most young adults, yes, even reality TV stars, simply don't have. Courtrooms don't run on outrage or heartbreak. They run on retainers, audits, and billable hours. And for years, that financial barrier has been the invisible wall protecting Kody Brown. This is where David Woolley becomes the game changer. In this theoretical scenario, David isn't just the supportive husband standing behind Christine. He's the financier. He's the bank. The quiet force making this entire coalition possible. According to the theory, David is willing to absorb the initial legal costs for the Brown Legacy Coalition, creating a safety net that changes everything. By doing that, he removes the single greatest fear holding the children back: financial ruin. Suddenly, they don't have to choose between justice and survival. They don't have to wonder how they'll pay a six-figure retainer just to be heard. They can stand up for their rights without risking their homes, their marriages, or their futures. And let's be very clear, this isn't about control. This is about leveling the playing field. It's about empowerment. Because once that fear is gone, the entire dynamic shifts. Instantly. Kody is no longer dealing with a few angry texts from his sons or awkward silence from his daughters. He's facing a coordinated legal front, one backed by a man who understands construction law, real estate disputes, and asset pressure far better than Kody ever has. David's business experience matters here. Immensely. He knows how to apply pressure without shouting. He understands that land disputes can freeze assets for years. He understands that Kody's liquidity is likely razor-thin, tied up in long-term investments and Robin's expensive lifestyle. And by funding a formal legal inquiry, David forces Kody into a corner where there's no room to perform.
No speeches. No gaslighting. No victim narratives.
Just facts. And this is where things get truly terrifying for Robin. Because the first tactical move under David's guidance wouldn't be a lawsuit. It would be a legal notice demanding a full forensic audit of the family finances. Let that sink in. For years, fans have asked the same questions. Where did the family money go? Why does Janelle have nothing while Robin lives in a mansion? Why were sacrifices demanded from some wives while others thrived? A forensic audit answers all of that. Every TLC paycheck. Every transfer. Every account. Every purchase. Tracked.
Documented.
Verified. If money that was meant for the entire family was siphoned off to fund luxury items, private collections, or failed business ventures, every single dollar would be exposed. There is no crying your way out of a spreadsheet. There is no rewriting history when the numbers are staring back at you in black and white. This is the leverage. This is the weapon. And David Woolley understands something Kody never has. People with something to hide will do anything to avoid transparency. The mere threat of a forensic audit could be enough to force Kody to the negotiating table. Because you can manipulate people, but you cannot manipulate math. The numbers will tell the story. And David knows that story likely doesn't end well for Kody. But it doesn't stop there. There's also the media component, another layer of pressure this theory relies on heavily. The Brown children are no longer silent minors trapped in a narrative they can't control. They are independent media entities. We've seen Gwendolyn on YouTube, reacting to episodes, spilling tea, and offering unfiltered commentary. We've seen Paydon on TikTok and in interviews dropping truth bombs about his father. David, as a strategic advisor, would recognize the value of that immediately. Instead of letting Kody paint them as disloyal, bitter, or ungrateful, the children control the narrative. They present themselves as rightful heirs fighting for fairness. They highlight financial discrepancies. They educate the audience. They shift public opinions so dramatically that TLC itself could be forced to acknowledge the dispute within the show's storyline. That creates a public relations nightmare for Kody.
He wants to be seen as the patriarch,
The leader, the moral center of the family. But if his own children are publicly outlining how their mothers were financially exploited, his reputation doesn't just crack. It collapses. So, what does victory actually look like for the Brown Legacy Coalition? Here's where the theory becomes even more calculated and far more painful for Kody. They aren't trying to kick him off the land entirely. They aren't trying to leave Robyn homeless, no matter how badly some fans might crave that outcome. This isn't revenge. It's division. The ultimate endgame is to legally force Coyote Pass to be split into two completely separate entities. We've all seen the maps over the years. 5 lots. 4 lots. 7 lots. Endless reconfigurations, always centered on Kody's control. But the coalition's demand would be brutally simple, a 50-50 split, or a division proportional to financial contribution. One portion of the land would become the Kody-Robyn compound. That's where they live. That's where their children stay. They can maintain their monogamous lifestyle, isolated and intact. And the other half? That's where the legacy finally leaves Kody's control. On his side of the fence, Kody can do whatever he wants. He can build, hoard, isolate, and pretend control still belongs to him. But on the other side, the other half of the land, everything changes. Because according to this theory, that portion of Coyote Pass wouldn't belong to Kody at all. It would be transferred to the Brown Legacy Coalition, a newly formed entity we're calling the Woolley Brown Estate. And that land? That land would legally belong to Christine and Janelle's children. And this is where the vision becomes breathtaking for fans and absolutely devastating for Kody Brown. The theory suggests David and Christine wouldn't build a single massive house like Kody always imagined.
no ego management.
No throne at the center. Instead, they would build a community. A living, breathing space rooted in connection, not control. A place where Michael T. and Tony can stay when they visit. A home base for Aspen and Mitch. A sanctuary where Janelle finally gets her garden, her casita, her peace. A hub of life, laughter, holidays, shared meals, and real family energy. Everything Coyote Pass was supposed to be, just without Kody's shadow looming over it. Now, imagine the psychological impact of that. Picture Kody standing at a window in Robyn's house, looking out over the land. And right there, next door, separated by nothing more than a legal property line, he sees it. A thriving community. Barbecues. Celebrations. Children laughing. His ex-wives and estranged kids living full, joyful lives. And he's not invited. He sees David Woolley, the man he likely views as his replacement, successfully building the dream Kody talked about for years, but never executed. A family legacy that actually works. That's not just loss. That's humiliation. His dream of one family wouldn't just fail. It would be physically and legally split in two, right in front of his eyes. And the worst part? He couldn't stop it. If the legal claim holds, if the financial trail proves Christine and Janelle paid for that land, Kody has no ground to stand on. He would be forced to watch the very children he tried to sideline succeed on the land he tried to hoard. This strategy changes everything. It drags the conflict out of emotional chaos and into the cold, unforgiving world of hard assets and contract law. Kody is used to manipulating feelings. He's comfortable with guilt, loyalty tests, and emotional pressure. What he isn't used to: a construction magnate with lawyers on speed dial and a checkbook ready to go. David Woolley represents a reality check Kody has been dodging for over a decade. And make no mistake, This theory isn't about revenge. It's about asset recovery. It's about justice. It's about securing a future for children who were dragged into this lifestyle without consent. But here's where things get even more complicated, because alliances have consequences. If this coalition forms, siblings would be forced to choose sides. Some of the kids are still trying to maintain a relationship with their father. This plan would draw a line in the sand, and yes, that's tragic. But it's also necessary. You are either fighting for a fair share of the family legacy, or you are enabling the monopoly Robin now holds. There is no neutral ground. So, let's talk about the key players. Start with the eldest sons, Logan and Hunter. They've stayed largely out of the spotlight. They've built stable, successful lives away from the show, but they are fiercely protective of their mothers. If David Woolley approached them, not as a stepdad trying to replace their father, but as a financial strategist presenting a plan to secure Janelle's retirement and their siblings' inheritance, they would listen. Logan is logical. He follows the numbers. If the math shows Kody is sitting on assets that legally belong to Janelle, Logan would support reclaiming them. Then look at the outspoken voices. Paydon, Gwendolyn, Gabriel. They've already said the quiet part out loud. They've already called out the favoritism, the neglect, the injustice. For them, this coalition offers something they've never had before: structure. Instead of venting online, they take action. It gives them agency. It transforms them from victims of their father's decisions into architects of their own future. And once again, David Woolley is the catalyst. He provides the stability, the resources, the legitimacy that allows this shift to happen. Then there's Janelle. She loves that land. Her attachment to Coyote Pass runs deeper than Christine's ever did. Christine was ready to walk away. Janelle wanted to build greenhouses, gardens, a home rooted in independence. This coalition is the only way Janelle gets her dream without bowing to Kody. If the land is divided, Janelle builds on the coalition side, protected by the legal alliance of her children. Kody has openly admitted he doesn't listen to Janelle. He doesn't validate her needs. But he would have to listen to a court order. He would have to listen to a property surveyor drawing new boundary lines into the dirt. And that brings us to the most revealing truth about David Woolley's role in this entire narrative. He isn't trying to be the new Kody. He isn't trying to become the patriarch of a broken plural family. He's a disruptor. He breaks the cycle by decentralizing power. In Kody's world, the father holds all the cards. In David's world, the collective does. It's modern. It's fair. And it terrifies Kody Brown. Now think about the timing. The show is slowly catching up to reality, but real life is moving faster. We're seeing reports of financial strain, rumors of Kody scrambling to cover property costs, stress etched into his face during recent sightings. If this coalition theory is real, it explains everything. Because Kody isn't just fighting with his ex-wives anymore. He may be staring down the barrel of the most dangerous opponent he's ever faced, his own children. Deep down, Kody knows the truth, and that truth terrifies him. He knows he cannot survive a financial audit. He knows that standing in a courtroom, publicly fighting his own children over money and land, would be the final nail in the coffin of his carefully curated image. The patriarch. The leader. The misunderstood family man. All of it would collapse the moment the case captions Red-Brown children versus Kody Brown. And we can't ignore the daughters. Aspen. Mykelti. Isabel. They've watched their mother not just leave, but thrive. They've seen Christine rebuild her life. They've seen the peace in her face. They've seen the way David treats her, with consistency, respect, and stability. And because of that, they trust him. So if David comes to them not with drama, but with a plan, one designed to protect their future and secure the land, they're going to listen. Mykelti, in particular, is a key swing vote. She's tried hard to stay neutral. She's tried to maintain a bridge with Robin. She believes in balance. But she also believes in logic. And when the choice becomes painfully clear, either Coyote Pass goes entirely to Robin's children, or it's shared fairly among all siblings, the answer stops being emotional. It becomes moral. Because fair distribution of Coyote Pass isn't just a financial issue. It's an ethical one. The word civil war isn't clickbait. It's what happens when a family empire collapses under the weight of its own lies. Kody built his empire on shaky foundations, emotional neglect, favoritism, and financial opacity. David Woolley isn't tearing it down with rage. He's walking in with a flashlight and a structural engineer. He's pointing out the cracks and offering a way to save what actually matters, the children's legacy. The land is just the battlefield. The real war is for respect, for recognition, for acknowledgement. As we move deeper into how this split would actually unfold, we have to talk logistics, zoning laws, county regulations, and the sheer pettiness Kody would unleash to slow everything down. Because, make no mistake, he would not go quietly. He would delay. He would obfuscate. He would cry. He would play the victim. But a legal coalition doesn't care about tears. It cares about statutes. And this is where the story turns from family drama into full-scale legal warfare. Because the battle for Coyote Pass is no longer about who gets the best mountain view. It has evolved into something far more dangerous for Kody Brown, a forensic war. When we talk about the Brown Legacy Coalition operating under David Woolley's guidance, we have to understand the most frightening word in Kody's vocabulary, discovery. In the legal world, discovery is where the hiding stops. Both sides are required to put their cards on the table. For decades, the Brown family finances have been a black box. We know there was a central LLC. We know TLC checks went into a communal fund. But Kody positioned himself as the gatekeeper. He decided who got a down payment, who had to scramble for a rental, why Robin's near million-dollar home was labeled a family investment, while Janelle living in a trailer was framed as her personal choice. The coalition's first major strike wouldn't just be about land division. According to the theory, the legal notice would demand a line-by-line accounting of every dollar spent since the move to Flagstaff. That's when the panic sets in. Imagine a team of forensic accountants combing through years of bank statements. They wouldn't just look for the big purchases. They'd look for the leaks. Thousands spent on gun accessories tied to Kody's business. Tens of thousands potentially funneled into Robin's failed jewelry venture. My sister-wife's closet. The artwork lining Robin's walls. The watches. The lifestyle. Every transaction made with family money for personal gain would be flagged. This is why the idea of David Woolley as the silent general is so powerful. David runs a business. He understands that commingling funds is the fastest way to lose a lawsuit. He knows sloppy accounting is an Achilles heel. By pushing for an audit, David isn't attacking Kody's character. He's exposing his incompetence. And according to whispers, that potential audit is exactly what keeps Robin awake at night. Robin has always played the role of the peacemaker. The confused wife. The one who just wants everyone to get along. But an audit doesn't care about tears. It doesn't care about intentions. It deals in facts. If the coalition can prove that money earned by Christine and Janelle was used to pay off Robin's debts or secure assets solely in her name, that opens the door to a massive clawback. Suddenly, the children aren't asking for half the land because it feels fair. They're demanding it because their inheritance was effectively used to fund someone else's lifestyle. Now, let's look inside the Kody Robin compound. Sources suggest the atmosphere has shifted from defiance to paranoia. For a long time, they believed they'd won. Christine left. Janelle left. Mary was pushed out. They assumed the dust would settle and they'd be left standing as the last couple on the hill. What they didn't account for was the next generation. They didn't anticipate the children growing up, gaining legal standing, finding their voices. Robin, in particular, is reportedly shaken by what many are calling the David effect. She sees a man who is stable, financially secure, and willing to show up for the children she and Kody failed. It threatens her entire narrative. She can no longer frame the others as difficult wives when an outsider is validating the children's claims. It exposes the dysfunction of Kody's leadership. The theory suggests Robin may be urging Kody to settle, but Kody's pride won't allow it. He doesn't see a legal coalition. He sees a mutiny. In his mind, his children have been poisoned against him. And David David isn't an advisor to Kody. He's a usurper. A man who walked in and earned the respect of the family without enduring the sacrifices of polygamy. That jealousy has blinded Kody. Instead of negotiating a fair division of Coyote Pass, insiders believe he's digging in, searching for loopholes, clinging to verbal agreements he claims should override legal reality. But any lawyer will tell you the same thing. A verbal agreement isn't worth the paper it isn't written on, especially when real estate deeds are involved. And the conflict becomes even more emotionally charged when we talk about the boys. Garrison, Gabriel. They carried the weight of their father's rejection for years. We all remember the painful moments, the isolation, the forgotten birthday, the silence during COVID. Those wounds don't disappear. They harden. And when children who were once desperate for approval finally stop asking for it, that's when the real reckoning begins. We all remember it. Kody suggesting his own sons move out, telling them to leave, drawing a line, and making it clear where they stood. For Garrison and Gabriel, joining the Brown Legacy Coalition isn't just a financial maneuver, it's closure. It's the moment they stop asking to be valued as sons and instead demand to be recognized as stakeholders. The unspoken message is devastatingly simple. If you didn't treat us like family, you'll deal with us like creditors. According to the theory, David Woolley has been a stabilizing force for the boys during this shift. Not trying to replace their father. Not playing hero. Simply showing them what a man who actually protects his family looks like. There are rumors of David sitting down with them, not to trash Kody, but to talk strategy. To talk about the future. To map out what comes next. This kind of mentorship is something Kody never offered. Kody brought chaos. David brought a blueprint. And that transfer of respect from father to stepfather is perhaps the deepest wound of all. Kody didn't just lose his wives. He lost the loyalty of his sons to the man who married his ex-wife. Now, let's put this civil war on the ground. If the coalition succeeds, the division of Coyote Pass becomes a physical symbol of the family's fracture. On one side, you have the Kody-Robyn compound, likely unchanged, undeveloped, overgrown, a monument to stalled dreams and frozen ambition. Kody and Robyn sitting on their acreage, isolated in monogamy, guarding land they never built on. And then there's the other side, the Woolley-Brown estate. This is where the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. David owns a construction company. He has the equipment, the crews, the expertise. And according to the theory, once the legal line is drawn, development wouldn't be slow. It would be immediate. Bulldozers clearing brush. Foundations poured, not next year, but next month. This isn't about building one massive ego house. The vision is a cluster of smaller, sustainable homes. A true compound, built on cooperation instead of control. There's talk of a communal garden, something Janelle has dreamed about for decades. A central gathering space for holidays. A place where Paydon can park without being interrogated. A place where Isabel can stay for the summer. A place where truly feels safe, grounded, and connected to her siblings. The juxtaposition would be brutal. Visitors to Flagstaff would see two worlds divided by a property line. On the left, the dark, quiet estate of Kody and Robyn. Blinds drawn. Gates closed. Silence. On the right, a vibrant, living community. Children, laughter, movement, life. This is the psychological blow we talked about.
Divorce is one thing.
Watching your ex-wife and her new husband build a better version of your dream, right next door, is something else entirely. Every time Kody drives up that road, he would pass the Woolley-Brown estate. He would see trucks with David's company logo. He would hear laughter. He would know his grandchildren are nearby, grandchildren he may not be welcome to see because of his own actions. A daily reminder. A living indictment. Now, here's where the theory gets even more explosive. Insider reports, unverified, but too consistent to ignore, suggest there may have already been a skirmish involving surveyors. The story goes that David hired a professional surveying team to mark potential division lines based on the coalition's claim. When orange flags began appearing on the land, Kody allegedly lost his temper. There are rumors of a confrontation. Kody trying to order the crew off the property, only to be presented with a court order allowing the survey to proceed. If true, that moment says everything. Kody used to be the law of the land. Now, the law is the law, and David knows how to wield it. We also can't ignore the role of the often forgotten children. Savannah, the younger ones watching this unfold. For Savannah, seeing her mother finally get justice is empowering. Janelle lived in an RV on that land. She froze through the winter, hauled water, tried to prove her loyalty to the family principle. And what did she receive in return?
Scorn.
The coalition ensures that sacrifice wasn't meaningless. It ensures Savannah has a legacy. According to the theory, a specific plot on the Woolley Brown estate has already been mentally earmarked for Janelle's permanent home, a casita designed to her specifications, funded by equity recovered through the audit. Then there's the media strategy. This coalition isn't operating in the shadows. It's leveraging the spotlight TLC built. Cryptic posts from the kids. Photos of David spending time with the boys. Every Instagram story is intentional. When Christine posts David grilling for a large group of kids, the message is unmistakable. This is where the family is now. Public opinion is overwhelmingly on Christine and Janelle's side. By showcasing unity, the coalition pressures TLC itself. Networks follow the drama, and if the drama shifts to the Woolley Brown side of the fence, that's where the cameras go. This is Robyn's nightmare. Her lifestyle depends on the show. If the narrative pivots toward the new community being built by David and the children, Kody and Robyn don't disappear, but they become side characters. The villains in the tower, while the heroes build a village below. And that brings us back to the money, because this is where the theory truly sinks its teeth. The Robyn debt narrative. And that is where everything could finally unravel. What you're about to hear isn't just another fan theory. It's a full-blown power shift, a slow-burn civil war over dirt, dignity, and legacy. And at the center of it all is one uncomfortable truth Kody Brown never planned for. Land disputes don't run on ego. They run on money. And money is the one thing Kody doesn't actually have. Let's start with the obvious problem. Fighting a legal battle over land takes serious capital. Not influencer money. Not TLC check-to-check money. Real money. The kind most young adults, even reality TV veterans, simply don't have lying around. And that's where David Woolley changes the entire game. In this theoretical scenario, David isn't just the supportive stepdad. He's the financier. He's the bank. He's the safety net. The theory suggests David steps in and absorbs the initial legal costs for what's now being whispered about as the Brown Legacy Coalition. By doing that, he removes the single biggest weapon Kody has always relied on, financial fear. No more worrying about retainer fees. No more choosing between groceries and justice. Suddenly, the children can stand up for their rights without risking financial ruin. And here's the key part. David isn't doing this to control them. He's doing it to level the field. To empower them. Think about the shift that creates. Kody is no longer dealing with angry text messages or passive-aggressive silence. He's facing a coordinated legal front backed by a man who actually understands construction, real estate, zoning, and asset leverage. David knows how land disputes work. He knows they can freeze assets for years. He knows liquidity matters, and he knows Kody's liquidity is dangerously low. Because let's be honest, Kody may look asset-rich on paper, but between the mansion mortgage, property taxes, and Robyn's spending habits, the cash flow is bone dry. Everything is tied up. The coalition knows this. David knows this. And that knowledge becomes leverage. By funding legal inquiries, David forces Kody into a corner where he has to show his cards. Now, let's talk tactics, because this is where things get terrifying for Robyn. The first move under David's guidance wouldn't be dramatic shouting or emotional ultimatums. It would be paperwork. Specifically, a legal notice demanding a full forensic audit of the family funds. And that is the nuclear button. For years, fans have asked the same questions. Where did the money go? Why does Janelle have nothing while Robyn has a mansion? Why were utilities never installed on Coyote Pass when money was supposedly set aside for it? A forensic audit answers all of that. Every TLC paycheck, every transfer, every purchase, every account.
Traced.
If money meant for the entire family was siphoned off to fund failed businesses, luxury shopping, or day-to-day mansion expenses, it would all surface.
Clean. Cold.
Undeniable. This is the real weapon. Because Kody can gaslight wives. He can rewrite history on camera. But he can't cry his way out of a spreadsheet. David understands this kind of leverage. He knows that people with something to hide will do anything to avoid transparency. The mere threat of an audit could be enough to force Kody to negotiate. Because numbers don't lie, and David knows those numbers won't flatter Kody. And then there's the media layer. This theory only works because the Brown children are no longer silent. They're independent media entities. Gwen reacts on YouTube. Paydon drops bombs on TikTok and in interviews. They control their own platforms now. David, acting as a strategist, would absolutely recognize that value. Instead of letting Kody frame them as bitter or disloyal, the children can present themselves as rightful heirs fighting for fairness. They can highlight discrepancies, share receipts, shift public opinions so decisively that TLC itself might be forced to acknowledge the dispute in the storyline. That's a nightmare for Kody, because Kody's entire identity is built on the image of patriarch. And if his own children are publicly outlining how he financially betrayed their mothers, that image doesn't just crack, it shatters.
So, what's the endgame?
Here's where people get it wrong. This isn't about revenge. It's not about kicking Robyn out or leaving her homeless. As tempting as that fantasy might be for some fans, the real goal is far more calculated and far more painful for Kody. The demand is division. The theory suggests the coalition wants Coyote Pass legally split into two distinct entities. Not 5 lots. Not 7. Not Kody's endless reconfigurations designed to maintain control. A clean split, 50/50ths, or proportional to financial contribution. One side becomes the Brown-Robyn compound. Kody, Robyn, and their monogamous household keep their land. The other side becomes something entirely different. And this is where the psychological blow lands. Because David owns a construction company. He has the equipment, the crew, the know-how. The theory describes a rapid transformation. Bulldozers clearing brush not next year, but next month. Foundations poured. Not for one massive ego house, but for a cluster of smaller, sustainable homes. A true compound, built on cooperation instead of control. A communal garden, Janelle's dream for decades. A central gathering space for holidays. A place where kids can come and go without interrogation. Where truly feels safe. Where Isabel can visit. Where laughter replaces tension. Now picture the contrast. On one side of the property line, Kody and Robyn's land. Undeveloped, overgrown, frozen in time. A monument to stalled dreams. On the other, movement. Construction. Life. Every drive up that road becomes a reminder for Kody. He sees David's company trucks. Hears laughter. Watches grandchildren grow up in a space he no longer controls and might not be welcome in. That's the real punishment. Insider whispers, unconfirmed but persistent, suggest there's already been a skirmish. Surveyors. Orange flags. Kody allegedly trying to order them off his land, only to be handed a court order allowing the survey to proceed. If true, that moment says everything. Kody used to be the law of the land. Now the law is the law, and David knows how to wield it. And let's not forget Savannah. For her, this isn't theory. It's legacy. Janelle froze in that RV, hauled water, proved loyalty, and got scorn in return. The coalition ensures that sacrifice wasn't meaningless. The theory even suggests a specific casita already earmarked for Janelle, designed to her specifications, funded by equity recovered through the audit. This isn't destruction. It's restoration. Meanwhile, the media strategy continues quietly. Instagram posts. Group photos. David grilling for the kids. Every image sends the same message. This is where the family is now. TLC follows drama, and drama follows momentum. If the story shifts to the Woolley Brown side, Kody and Robin risk becoming side characters in their own show. And that terrifies Robin, because her security depends on that income. So why hasn't Kody just bought them out? Because he can't. The theory is simple: liquid poor. Assets on paper. No cash. That leaves him with two options: sell everything and destroy his dream entirely, or agree to the split. The split is the only way he keeps anything. That's checkmate. And there's even talk, highly speculative, of a Trojan horse strategy. Quietly buying up debt tied to the property. Becoming the lender. Becoming the bank. If that happened, Kody wouldn't just live next to David. He'd owe him money. Miss one payment? Foreclosure. Poetic justice doesn't even begin to cover it. Mary's role? The wild card. If she joins legally, not emotionally, but adds her financial contributions to the audit, the case becomes overwhelming. She wants out. The coalition offers the fastest exit. Behind closed doors, the vision forms, blueprints, zoning maps, water rights. A war room, but a hopeful one. They're not plotting revenge. They're planning a future that doesn't depend on Kody's moods. Contrast that with Robin's house. Panic. Lawyer calls. Victim narratives. A siege mentality. Surrounded by consequences. And if the audit uncovers misuse of the Coyote Pass infrastructure fund, that's not family drama anymore. That's legal catastrophe. In the end, this isn't just about land. It's about dignity. It's about children saying, we matter. It's about women saying, we contributed. And it's about a man stepping in and saying, I've got your back. Kody thought he could divide and conquer. Instead, he pushed them together. The lines are drawn. The notices drafted. The bulldozers idling. This is the civil war of Coyote Pass, and for the first time, the odds are not in Kody's favor. So, now I want to hear from you. Is this justice, or is it too far? Should the land be split or sold? And if David holds the mortgage, does mercy still apply? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Team Coalition or Team Walkaway? And if you want to stay ahead of every twist, every filing, every leak, make sure you're subscribed. Because the moment that first bulldozer hits the dirt, you'll hear it here first. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the crew. And until next time, keep your eyes on the mountain, because the landscape is about to change forever.